Hello, here we are back again, Myers Commercial Real Estate Corner. We are so glad to be back here with you. I have my brother Scott Myers.
Fred, you finally remembered the name of the show.
I know.
I'm impressed.
It flew off my
didn't.
tongue like I knew what I was doing.
He didn't.
Yeah.
And Bob Lunsford, our local CCIM resident
Skier.
agent. Say hi, Bob.
Hello.
All right. It's all right. All right. So we're here this week, and let me give you the call-in numbers first, 844-790-8255. Text, you can text in a question, 775-237-2266. We're going to pick up where we left off last week, and it was so darn boring last week. We all almost fell asleep. So we are not going to spend a lot of time on due diligence. Basically, it was... it's part 3 of a due diligence string of shows we were doing, and we are just going to sort of exit out of that rather quickly here. I did a blog on our website regarding this, actually. So if anybody's interested, they might want to go there. We went through. What did we go through last week? We went through. Legal and physical information, third-party reports and inspections, and this week we're just going to touch on the no stone unturned sort of mentality that we like to approach these things with, and that is that one of the biggies in due diligence in commercial real estate is a phase 1 or phase 2. Hopefully not a phase 2, but. And that is basically an extensive title search that goes back to the beginning of before there was anything on the dirt that you're buying. If there's a building there now, they'll go back and investigate title and see if there's anything suspicious that might have happened there that might warrant going further into what might be at phase 2.
I might clarify that those phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 relate to environmental contamination.
Thank you, Bob, for that.
So
Yes, it has to do with environmental contamination. So that is a piece to the due diligence puzzle that you're going to have to do typically in a commercial purchase. If it's an office building, then you don't often do that because it usually would have been done if it was deemed necessary prior to building that building there. So typically nothing in an office building environment would have created any contaminants as far as, well, I guess an older building could have asbestos and things like that, which are also, that's part of due diligence, and that is contamination. But it's typically when we think phase 1 and phase 2, we're thinking about the soils and the grounds around the property. Also,
I'd like to point out that if there's a previous report that's available and has a finding of basically it's clean or no further action, NFA, you can also get what's called a transaction screen, and that's a cheaper, a more inexpensive report that you can get if the other reports have been done that probably aren't too old, and you feel comfortable with just spending a minimal amount of money. You can get what's called a transaction screen. It's a review of the property's conditions brought down to date from the previous report, is what that is. So anyway, we're going to kind of move on. We're not going to spend a lot of time, like we said, on this final due diligence because we spent enough time on it, I think.
We bored ourselves to death.
Yeah.
So we're moving on. But we're happy to. Of course, it's interesting when you're doing it. It's not so interesting when you're talking about it. How's that? We'll just sort of leave it there. So moving on, and hello, everybody out there in TV land.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, we're recording this. This will be, by the way, this will be on our, what will it be on?
Facebook. Or the website.
It will be on YouTube, our YouTube channel. Thank you, Kelly,
Yeah,
our
YouTube.
audio technical engineer.
But
over
doesn't
here.
it go to Doesn't it go onto Facebook too, or no? I wasn't sure about that. Maybe Jessica might do that. We haven't decided that yet.
We haven't gone there.
It might.
We don't want to go there.
We can link it to Facebook. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. So moving on to something a little more exciting. One size does not fit all. Wow.
Hey, this is a family program.
That is exciting. Ooh, I'm getting a little excited here. All right. So what this has to do with, and what we really would like to talk about today, is brokerages and the local mom and pop brokerages versus the big boys, and sort of the difference between the two, how you sort of go about investigating and finding one that fits your needs and what you might want to get out of a brokerage, and just sort of custom fitting yourself to an agent or a group of agents that can handle the things you might need for your properties and or purchase or disposition of a property, whatever it might be. So who wants to kick us off with something intelligent?
Well, I'll start it off, but Bob's going to talk about this a lot, but this is interesting to us, and we hope will be interesting to you, because we are a small boutique office, and it talks about that and about what the advantages of a boutique office, boutique, however you say it.
And it actually talks about the larger offices too, but we don't want to talk about that because we're a boutique office and we want you guys to come to us. So we're going to be real straight up with you and just tell you how great we are and why you should go to a boutique office and the advantages that we can offer, and there are many. Right,
Yeah.
Bob?
Well, so one of the most obvious advantages is you can, with a smaller office, you can have a close personal relationship with the agents, whereas in a large, one-stop or, national office, you might have teams of agents. So you can develop those close personal relationships with a single agent or a very small team or something, and you're not being passed around. You have that trusted relationship, that cooperation, that communication. And that's particularly valuable where you might have a client with multiple real estate needs. I mean, maybe he's in a commercial transaction where he's doing a 1031 out of one, but he also needs to do, find space for his business. He may even have a situation where he wants to buy a home. He's relocating, something like that. Boutique firms typically have more flexible fees and schedules too, and sometimes those can be adjusted to the client needs and the scope of the work that you're conducting for him. There's also probably in some cases there's an adjustment that might be made in terms of online and digital marketing. I mean, larger, more bureaucratic firms may have rigid requirements as far as marketing, and a smaller boutique firm might tailor their services to the specific needs of the client.
Right. We can, like a smaller boutique office, we can kind of turn on a dime in a lot of ways, in a lot of aspects of what you're talking about. We can, decisions can be made a lot quicker, and, everybody is very close in our office. We all talk to each other a lot. In a bigger office, a lot of that doesn't happen, and, the left hand knows what the right hand's doing a lot of times in our office, especially with us three.
Well, yeah, and we have a pool of talent that we really draw from, rather than in the larger offices. Typically, you're going to get one guy. You might get two. You might get a team. But in our situation, we work individually, but we also work as a team to solve problems. So that is a huge benefit, because between the 3-4 of us. There's actually more than that, but typically we have this little team you're listening to on this little radio show is 3, and we, between the 3 of us, can solve a multitude of problems. We have some very creative tools in our bags that we bring out when necessary.
We also, if I could just chime in, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but speaking to that,
Please don't apologize. Just jump in.
that's okay. I won't. I didn't mean it anyway. We also, speaking of solving problems and problem solving, which is what we do a lot of in our office. For instance, tomorrow we have what's called a Money Matters meeting, where we have other brokers and commercial agents that come and meet at our office. There's anywhere from about 6 or 7 up to about 12 to 15 that show up every other Thursday, and that's some of the stuff we do, is some problem solving things there. We discuss issues that we're having and problems we're trying to solve. So we even go outside of our office, or in other words, or we have people come to our office.
Yeah, we have a pool of talent that, he's right, that comes through, and it's a great source of problem solving for our clients. We might bring a problem that I might have with a client that came up that week or whatever, and throw it out to the group and say, look, I've got somebody who's challenged in this way or that way, and we kick around ways to solve their problem and their challenge, and it's fun. It's fun, and we love it. And
it's an education every time we have those meetings. It's great. It's a lot of fun.
yeah, and if you need any help like that, our number over there is 775-745-2918. That's Myer Commercial Realty, and we'd be happy to help you. We'll be back in just one moment. Thank you.
Join me, Elizabeth Stanton, every fourth Wednesday at 9 a.m. on a
I'm a
Hey,
dream killer.
Fred,
What?
Fred,
What?
pour me another one, will you?
Yeah, gotcha, Scott.
All right. Forget the ice. I don't even need it, okay?
We are back. We're just having a little fun. We're trying. And we are back, and we are back talking about this week, one size does not fit all brokerages. And we're talking about boutique brokerages. And Bob wanted to pick up where he left off. Well, let me give you an example first. I have an example because we were talking before we left about the creativeness that goes on in our office, and the reason that happens, one of the reasons is we are a small boutique office, and there's some other reasons for it. We won't go into that. But we have a deal right now we're working on. This is a for instance for you. We have a gentleman in a 1031 tax-deferred exchange coming out of Arizona, and within that tax-deferred exchange, he's got some cash. He has to move forward. He also has a note, and he'd like to dispose of this note. It's a first trust deed. It's from another deal he had done in the past. Pays 5.25%. It's for $260,000.
Seasoned note. Is it seasoned?
It's fairly new, I think.
Okay.
I don't know exactly how old the note is. It's no more than a year, so no, it's not really seasoned. But the LTV is good. I think it's got a 75% LTV, so that's reasonable. And he would like to, he brought the note up to me, and he didn't know, I'm not sure why he brought it up actually, but what he didn't know was what I knew, and that was that, hey, you've got this note. Would you like to trade that note? We can pair that note with your $350,000 that's in your 1031 tax-deferred exchange that you would like to now move forward, and we can trade that note with this cash into a property. And one of the ways we can do that, he's looking at a $5 million apartment it's built to condo standards apartment. That's a long story, but anyway, it's a $5 million deal. And one of the ways we can do that is if you've got some agents, and not only are we creative, but we also work in a pool of agents that are creative. So oftentimes, finding an agent who's really plugged in town and has other agents who speak the same language is important. And we have that. And so we can go to, it just so happens this other agent is a friend of ours who has this listing that we're looking at. And what we've done is we've created a situation where the seller of the property that we're moving into isn't necessarily interested in this note, but there's actually 4 agents involved in this deal. We 4 agents would take that note as in lieu of our commissions in this deal. So we would take the note. So our client gets to get rid of this note. We take it. We do whatever we want with it. We can discount it, sell it, do whatever we want, and he gets to contribute. Have that contributed to his purchase. So it reduces his purchase by the $260,000 value of the note, basically. So he gets 100% face value for that note. We get the note, and he moves into the deal. So there's a short little example of a it's not that complex, but something that's a little different and outside the box. And we do at Myer Commercial Real Estate.
Well, right. That's a good. The point there too. You're leading into is that in a small boutique office where the broker, can just go, yeah, we're going to go ahead and do that. In a larger office, you're probably not going to be able to do that. They have standards and they have the ways. You're probably not going to be able to do that.
You've dropped below our standards, son. We're not going to let you
That's
take
right.
that note.
But we can do that because we see the value in it, and we're fine. We
Well,
want
we
to
don't wanna
see
get-
our clients. We don't want to get in the way of a deal, right? We want to
That's
see our
right.
clients be able to get the deal done.
Yep.
And if we can participate and help out in that way, well, that's fine. We'll do it.
Yep. What do you got, Bob? Where are we at?
So I think the emphasis there is that the larger brokerage typically aren't as flexible, let's say, as the more boutique brokerage.
Right. We are fully customized
Right.
brokerage.
Another distinct advantage of the boutique firms is the fact that the agents, as in this case, Fred and Scott in particular, have really what's regarded as hyper-local knowledge. I mean, they have very intimate knowledge of certain neighborhoods, certain parts of Reno or Sparks, and as the case may be, and in many cases, that has to do with their longevity in the market, but also just knowing the people in those areas, and the businesses, the personalities. But that extreme local knowledge can be an advantage.
Yeah, no, it's been very helpful for us, and just in driving deals, we've been able to, because of all the people we know in town. It's definitely been helpful for us in our brokerage, for sure.
The fact that we've been entrepreneurs in this town, and we've just done business with a lot of people on a lot of different levels.
We're really tooting our own horn this week.
Well, sometimes you have to.
Yeah. Hope that's okay with everybody.
Yeah.
Sometimes, too, in the case of a larger brokerage, you're going to be working with a team of agents. I mean, a larger team. You might have 5 guys, 6 guys or more or something working on something, and if there's a mistake made or there's a miscommunication or something, I mean, it's harder to get somebody to own up to that, right?
True.
And in the case of a smaller brokerage, with you're working with 1 or 2 or maybe 3 people at the most, the communication's gonna be clear, and people are gonna take responsibility for their own actions. So,
Yeah, you're not spread out over 10,000
right.
feet. We're certainly not that.
No.
So that's another advantage, going back to those personal relationships that you can develop in the boutique firms. In many cases, a larger firm, they've been very successful. They have national exposure. They have a lot of resources at their disposal and everything. But in many cases, they may operate under brokerage rules that might be a cookie-cutter approach, and that goes back to the creativity that we just spoke about.
So, and how we can turn on a dime and do what we want, pretty much.
Exactly. There may be rules that they have to operate under, brokerage rules that are inflexible in some cases.
We have rules too, and our rules are, if we think it's going to work for the client and it's ethical
And legal,
then we will do it, or we will certainly look at it seriously.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Yep. We like to step outside the box when we can, if we need to. Yep.
The other thing about a small, Fred and I, once again tooting our horns a little bit, about being, hyper local, as I think Bob said, is that we've, historically, we've seen the ups and downs. We've been through the ups and downs of the market for 40 years. We've been here, a little over 40 years. We've seen a lot of, we know where the growth has happened. We know where the growth is going. We've followed it, seen it, lived it, breathed it, and there's a lot to be said for that as well. When you're doing real estate especially in a, this is generally this is a small market, considered a small market when you're talking commercial real estate.
So I think the long and the short of all this is you as the client need to decide what your goals and objectives are, and you have to determine if which way you want to go. If you have a large complex property and maybe it involves other properties in other states, other regions, maybe even out of the country or something, there's a lot of complexity in terms of the use of that building, the history of the operation, whatever. You might want to consider a larger firm, but if you have a more straightforward transaction, you want to work closely with the agent that you're going to be dealing with and everything, then the small boutique firm might be best for you.
Right, or a more complex transaction. We really love the complex transactions. That's where we really shine, we believe. So we love, bring us your problems. We love them. We love to help folks figure out a way to move through whatever may be a problem for them or a challenge or whatever. I'd like to mention before we run out of time that we do have at Myer Realty 1155 West 4th. We have a very nice building over there, 64,000 square feet of office and retail, so about 30 up top office and retail downstairs. We've got spaces available as little as 900 square feet for about $1.13 all in downstairs. And then we have office upstairs. We have some dental available upstairs. The operatories are actually been removed as far as the chairs and things like that, but it's still built out. You just need to bring in and freshen that area, that space up. It's about almost 1,800 square feet that is for lease and ready to go. All the water's there, all the fixtures are in there, so it's sort of turnkey from that aspect. And that is. The upstairs area, generally speaking, is about $1.25 a foot. But call me for details on that because there's a CAM along with that. But it's nice stuff, and I would love to show it to anybody who might be interested. And I think Scott's got one more thing to share here.
I do. I want to talk about in the at the front page of today's paper, or was yesterday's paper, I'm sorry, Reno's rents rising rapidly. Hello, investors. You might want to listen up to this, but it says city ranks in nation's top 3 for increase in apartment costs in the year's first month. So the biggest, I'm going to read a little bit of this here. The biggest little city ranked in the top 3 of U.S. cities that saw highest increase in apartment rents in the last month of a new report found. See, it says Reno ranked 3rd after Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Orlando, for the highest percentage of increase in apartment rents from January to February of this year. That's a big deal. That's really, investors certainly might want to take note of that as far as, especially apartment investors.
Well, you need to emphasize, of course, that income drives value, drives price.
Thank you, Mr. CCIM. That's very, very astute of you. You're right. And you're right on that, absolutely. So, that's just raising the value of your property. If you already own the property, the rents go up, it's raising the sales price of that property. So we're running out of time here.
Can you believe it? Once again.
Can you blend in that music in the background while we're talking here in the end, will you? Because I want to pour a cold one here. Fred, pour me up a cold one, will you? Oh, yeah, where's that music at? Oh, yeah.
All right, let's get out of here. See you guys. Thanks a lot.
Hey, Nick Cannon here.